Well, hello again, listeners. It's fantastic to be able to chat to you all again today. I hope you've been looking and listening to birds since we last chatted. The one thing I do want to do, I really want to thank all of you for listening to my waffling, and and I really enjoy the questions that come on WhatsApp, and I can't answer them all, but I do have. If you do have any comments or questions, just contact us on Facebook, Chat Sapphire, and you will soon find a button to connect to WhatsApp. There were two questions that came in sent by James and one by Sue, namely, how can woodpeckers carry on and do what they're doing without hurting themselves? In other words, barking, tapping away at a tree for so long, and which is one of our, which is the largest eagle. I'll answer these questions at the end of my chat, so stay tuned, and I'll give you a few of these answers. And once again, thanks. I don't know if you remember, in our last chat, I was mentioning I was going to go camping up the coast to the, close to the sand forest. But just a little bit of feedback. We went up there this last weekend, and I can tell you, it was really, really windy, up to about 50 k's an hour. And it's really hard to try and, see many birds during the wind. And as I said earlier, when you decide to go birding and you want to go birding at certain times, take that into consideration, because know that when the wind is blowing, you ain't going to find too many birds around. But anyway, I just love birding, and obviously, while I was up there, I was going to try and help the team. It so happened on that specific day that it was the Global World Birding Day, and I belong to a team in the UK called, what is it called? It's called Saw 3 Dodos. So it was quite funny to actually to see the name and then sort of send in an answer without sort of giggling a bit. But anyway, I must say, I went out there that day, and I was very happy with the birds that I actually saw, especially in the wind. And I've really got some really great photos, and I saw some good birds. There's always good birds. Doesn't matter where you go, you'll always find some. Any bird for me is brilliant to observe. But I was actually out looking for the lemon-breasted canary the one day, and I saw these birds flying around. They normally hang around the palm trees, those lala palms. And I saw these birds, and I thought, no, I need to get my camera out. I took my camera out and I started clicking away at these birds. They were quite a distance, and so I zoomed in and I was clicking. I thought, no, but these are definitely lemon-breasted. I was getting quite excited, and I clicked away. And later on, when I started seeing what the birds were, and obviously I needed some photographs for my journal, because I didn't see them, I haven't seen them that often at all, because they're very, very, very uncommon. And I was so excited because there, lo and behold, was the lemon-breasted canary, and I tell you, I was so chuffed. I also accidentally saw a cuckoo finch, and this bird is really uncommon and hard to see. And it goes back to what I was saying at our last chat, that when you go birding, sometimes it's better to take photographs first before you start looking through your binoculars, especially if you've got yourself a very good camera, with a very good lens for doing that, something with, very high or fast shutter speed, and possibly an automatic ISO. And I saw this little yellow bird in the corner of my eye, and I thought it was a yellow-fronted canary or one of those. So I just quickly took a photo of it a few times, just so that I could get back to taking photos of the lemon-breasted. And when I went back later and I started going through my photos, lo and behold, boy oh boy, I was excited. Here's this cuckoo finch, and I ain't seen one for a long, 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 long time. And I never had a photo of one, in fact. So that was, for me, very, very exciting. To go up, or to speak a bit more about the camera being a very good tool. A little bit later, I was coming down a little gorge and I stopped and I looked into the forest. And a bird I hadn't seen for a long time was the white-necked robin, really beautiful little robin. And I had my binocs and I was looking around and suddenly this little robin popped out. And I thought, whoa, I need my camera. I grabbed my camera, I looked up at the bird and it was gone. I waited there for a long time. And you know what? It never came back. So it was a chance that I lost. So I always say, if you do have an opportunity, take the photo first. Then go back at home, look at it. You know, it's also good so you can answer some questions and make sure that it is the right bird that you thought you saw in the first place. The other birds that I was excited about seeing was I've got photos and I hear it a lot in my area, but you know, they hide away a lot, is the gorgeous bush shark. And I tell you what, this is such a beautiful bird and it makes this unique sound. And I really wanted to get a really good picture of it. And I spent nearly half an hour with this bird. I was waiting for it. I'd hear it come a bit closer and it goes into a bush and I could see it moving around with my binocs. And I thought, no, I need a good shot with my camera. So then I'd walk around the other side of the bush slowly. And, you know, then it would flip out and fly behind another bush. Oh my goodness. Then I've got to get up, go around to the other, look around the bush, in the bush, and I spent nearly, as I said just now, half an hour trying to get a good photo of this bird, and I gave up after a while. It was just nice to hear it around, and I heard it most of the day, or a few of them anyway, most of the day, so that was great. I was also on the lookout for the southern banded snake eagle. I mentioned that in the last chat, and unfortunately, I didn't see him, but I did see its brother or cousin, and that's the black-chested snake eagle. And let me tell you, when they're high up and they're zooming, it looks a lot like the martial eagle. The only difference you can tell is from the martial eagle has black under its wings, and obviously the martial eagle is a bit bigger. But when they're very high up, it's hard to see the size. But the black-chested snake eagle is pale under its wings. But anyway, I managed to get some very, very good shots. And that's also another factor. You can zoom in and have a closer look and identify the bird correctly. The Apellis or Apollos, it was the yellow-chested. There were a lot of them around. They were making a noise the whole day. But it was brilliant just to listen to them and get some really good shots as well. So I was very happy to find them amongst the trees there, and it's just lovely being out there by myself, listening to all these birds. You must try it sometime if you only starting now. I promise you, it's such a healthy way of spending your morning or your day, going out and just birding. Another bird that got my eye was the black cuckoo shrike. I didn't actually see the male, but I saw the female, which is really, really beautiful. It's a lovely bird, and it was flitting around the branches of the trees around there, and I managed to get some really good photographs of it, even in flight, some really, really good photos in flight. And I think for the day, I posted in that wind. I'm sure without the wind, I could have got more, but I posted 95 birds that day. So it wasn't a full day birding. As I said, I was camping with my family, but to post 95 birds with the wind, I was fairly happy with that. So that was great. But as I mentioned, it was a global birding day. But there is another one coming up, and I'd like to actually mention this to anyone who's out there who wants to sort of join and become, do your own lists. And that's the Great Birding Day, the Big Birding Day in South Africa. It starts on the 27th of November. Well, it actually starts on midnight on the Friday, the 27th of November, right through to midnight, the 28th of November. And there's two categories. that they have for that specific day. You have your open category, and the rules for this is that the maximum area that you can visit must be within a radius of 50 kilometers. You can record all the bird species, seen or heard, during the 24-hour period from, as I said, midnight on Friday, the 27th of November, to midnight on the Saturday, the 28th of November. That's obviously this year. The teams can consist of a maximum of 4 members. Only free-flying birds may be recorded. In other words, don't start numbering or naming caged birds. If you see any caged birds, please leave it out of the bird count, because they need the count to be accurate. The majority, for example, 2 out of the 3 of your team must agree on the call or of any sighting. And the other things, the teams are requested to limit the use of the callback, the callback on your phones when you've got the noises to attract the birds, to an absolute minimum. Preferably avoid using it if you can, because we don't really like using it at all. And this is especially true when birding in a nature reserve or national park, or actually targeting threatened bird species. So it's actually frowned upon. So try and stay away from that if you can. The other category is the community category. The rules for this category are that it actually caters for much larger groups. If you go to a bird club and you want to enjoy the day birding with a lot of other people, there's actually no limit to the number of team members in this category. A team leader may be selected, who will be the main one, who will be the sort of contact person of that group. The maximum area also is a radius of 50 kilometers, and the same things apply. Record species in that 24-hour period from midnight to midnight, and of course only free-flying birds, as we said before. So that is that birding day. I'm saying it's going to be brilliant. Excuse me, man. I seem to have a little frog in my throat this morning. And on that specific day, it's so brilliant to, especially if you're starting and you like to be with other people, and you can learn a lot. Even if you think you know some, it's nice to listen to what other people have to say about the birds as well. And you will always learn yourself. So it's a great day to be out there. Even if you see a few birds, just put them down. It helps everyone, and it helps the Birding National Day to get a good count and know where their birds are and what's happening. So there's another one coming up, I have to mention, in February, around about the 5th of February, which is the one I always go to, is at the Golden Gate. But I think what I'll do is I'll mention that one next time. So when we have a chat next time, I'll talk about that one a little bit more, because that one's in February and that's going to be great. I always go there, as I said. It's brilliant. Okay, I'd like to just talk to you about a couple of these questions that came in earlier, as I said. It's just so nice to see these comments and questions come in. I'll always learn if someone has something to mention to me about where they've seen certain birds and how exciting day they had, and because it's just lovely to know all the different things, and especially about rare birds, if you do know about rare birds, where you've seen them and in what area, so we can share this on the chat at Chat Sapphire, Birding with Allan. Anyway, the one question was about a woodpecker hurting itself, hammering away all day, and that's a good question. But can you imagine days and days of hammering and prizing? You'd think it had hurt itself somewhere along the line. But I'll have to tell you that its brain is cushioned. It's got a cushioned brain, and it's got this tongue, this beautiful tongue that it's very unique. It's one of the best, or not one of the best. It's a very unique feeding tool of any bird that I've seen, other than maybe the sunbirds. Its tongue has an extension that's really long. It goes around the back, over the brain, around the brain at the back as well, and it uses this long tongue. Once it's bored a hole in the bark, and it uses its tongue and darts out. It's got little barbs on it, and it's actually covered with sticky, like a glue type mucus. And once it's made its little holes in the little where the insects have been digging away or the ants have been walking around, its tongue darts out down the hole, and obviously picks up these little insects. So that's actually in itself quite great. It's something nice to know about this bird, the woodpecker. So anyway, on to my second question, which came out from you guys, from one of you anyway. Thanks a lot again. And that is, which is the largest eagle in South Africa? But I have to tell you, we're very blessed in having a lot of large eagles here in Southern Africa and even in the continent. But it is recorded in most places, you can read anywhere, that the martial eagle is our largest eagle, very closely followed by the Ferox eagle, which is the black eagle. And I think just due to the average mass, being slightly heavier, that this will actually tip the scales a little bit in its favor. So yeah, this martial eagle is a big eagle. The length is about 78 to about 94 centimeters long. It has a wingspan of over 2 meters. Boy, it's longer than me. Anyway, so the wingspan is over 2 meters. So it's a great bird. And I have to tell you that I will be addressing these eagles at a later session. And we'll talk about all the different raptors, different types of raptors, and of course the eagles, or the true eagles, the difference between true eagles and other eagles. And the one thing I do have to say is, although the martial eagle is said to be the largest in South Africa, the crowned eagle is by far the strongest in the continent, not even here in South Africa. It's a very strong bird. It has huge talons, and it's been known to carry its prey of about 30 kgs. It kills heavier prey, but we'll talk about later than that. But it's a really, really strong bird, and it's got a shorter wingspan, but it's a little bit wider because it's been seen most of the time in dense forests, so it maneuvers around a bit. So it allows it, by having a thicker or not a longer wingspan, but a slightly wider and shorter, to be able to maneuver around the trees a little bit more. We see them very often down the coast where I am, but we'll talk about that next time. Or not next time, but I'll definitely have a chat about all the different eagles, and I could go on a lot of time waffling the way I am now, on and on and on. So I just want to say that I think at this stage I've spoken enough, and I'm looking forward to the next time we're going to have a little chat. And if you've got any questions or comments, please, guys, ladies and guys out there, just drop a line, as I said, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and I'd love to know what's going on, and I'd love to answer any questions. I can't answer all the questions, but I'll do my best to cover them during our chats. So at this stage, all I can say is go out there and happy birding, folks.